Okay, good afternoon everyone. So welcome to session 3 of, day 4. So this being a session after lunch, after sumptuous lunch, I suppose you all enjoyed your lunch. Now let me give you a small task. That is, all of you please close your eyes and take a deep breath. Then we'll start the session. Maybe I am inspired by the previous session, but I think it's a good practice. We always forget to take proper breath, right? Along with me, we can also do. Okay. Thank you. Thank you. So leadership development. So we have been looking into the sessions on emotional intelligence, leadership styles, and different strategies or different types of leaders we have witnessed, along with the quotations from our national leaders and even famous industrialists throughout throughout our country and all over the world. So now this journal article to you. So it is about leadership development. So leadership. What is leadership? Definition of leadership, leadership style, different types of leadership or leaders you have seen. So this is leadership development. So what do you mean by development? What is development? Okay, PDF. Okay, so this is the literature I have taken, journal article. So it is about 6 ways of understanding leadership development and exploration of increasing complexity. So it is a developmental process. It is not a single step achievement. So you cannot be a leader overnight, right? So it is a developmental process. So what are the 6 ways of developing into a leader or molding into a leadership? So that is the thing discussed by these authors. So it is a recent journal. The journal title itself is Leadership. Leadership development is a multifaceted phenomenon. Okay, so leader is having emotional intelligence. He is having creativity. What else? What are the attributes of a leader? So he is able to listen, and he is having empathy. Communication skills, problem solving. So these are various attributes. So leadership development is a multifaceted phenomenon. So it should be a phenomenal growth. So he should be an intellect as well as he should be having the feeling for others, and it is a phenomenon, right? So multitude of definitions and meanings exist. So for me, a leader can be defined in some manner. So he should be charismatic. He should be pulling the masses. Similarly, each one have different definitions, and each authors have given different definitions of leadership, right? So more precise thinking of activities is required. So whatever be the definitions, so we have to assimilate all the information we have acquired, and we can conclude and which technique or which method is best fit for developing into a better leader. So understanding leadership development. So there are 6 ways or 6 stages, I can say. So it is like evolution, starting from one's own development. So when does it start? When does a human being or when does a man become a leader? As he grows, that is, as he grows from childhood to say school going age or into adulthood. So as he grows from childhood to adulthood, that is the first development, right? Second one is fulfilling a leadership role. So as he grows, he develops certain leadership skills. Like Dr. Anila was telling the other day, she was a class pupil leader. So, or he may be the eldest child at home. So in that way, life itself gives us opportunities to create leadership in us, right? Next, personal development. So that doesn't, fulfilling a leadership role. Next is personal development. So he has to acquire some position, right? He has to qualify himself. He has to do some means for his livelihood. He has to acquire a degree or qualification and obtain a job. Then there he has to do some leadership activities leading to the organizational development. So organizational development of the, development of the organization where he belongs. So he grows, helps others to grow, and in turn he helps the organization to grow. So that is collective leadership. So not only he grows, the organization grows along with him. And finally, the final thing is humanity. That is, he has to contribute something for the humanity, so human development. Say for example, we complete our school studies, engineering, we come into this teaching profession, and oh, it is not on. Okay. So we enter into teaching profession, and say we become assistant professor, and then say we acquire the position of head of the department. So we contribute to the organizational development. Then, so we used to attend conferences, meetings. So in that way, we become collective leader. And then finally, so if you are contributing, you are playing a role in the Ministry of Education. So we contribute something for the humanity. So how this was done? So the authors of the journal have taken some techniques. So they interviewed managers and professionals, and 6 different ways. So not only, how to test the multifaceted development of the leaders. So they developed 6 different ways, and how individual leadership quality or how individual leadership phenomenon, it maps with the phenomenon, that is the growth of the organization. So how individual findings map with that of the collective response. So as individuals grow, whether the organization grows. So that is the thing they have done. So there are 2 methods. So first one is functionalistic perspective, simple. Like we have said, attributes of a leader. So functions, what are the functions of a leader? So what are the functions he has to do? So that is the simplest perspective. And second is the interpretative and the critical perspective. So in which, some of his, there is, even if he is a king, he requires someone to point out his mistakes, right? So they have to be critical. The ministers have to be critical of his activities. So nowadays, say, opposition parties, they criticize us. So we take the positive feedback, and we have to learn from the critical responses we get, right? So the most simple and predominant one is functionalistic perspective. And why? Because it depends on the leader's own approach. So how he executes, how he makes sure that the things are done, and contribution to effective individual and organization. So it is solely dependent on the leader himself. So it is not dependent on the management development or things like that. So that is functionalistic perspective. Then comes the effective leader. From leader, he develops into the next stage, effective leader. So as I told you, every growth stage in the life promotes it. So be it going to the shop to buy things for home, or going to school and coming back, and helping your sibling. So all these stages everyone goes through. So that is, every growth stage in the life cycle promotes leadership in oneself, and it encourages and assess the leadership potential. So this nurtures his leadership capability, right? So leading others. He is leading his siblings, he is leading his classmates. So leading others, that is collective practice. Next is leading the organization, like our principals, deans. So this is organizational culture. So what do you mean by critical approaches? So how Socially, people construct leadership and development. So this means assigning leadership training tasks. So say I read a few pages of a leadership textbook. So in that a task was given. That is before giving the people or lectures on leadership. So they were given assigned tasks. So everyone has to form a group of 8, not among the participants. So they have to form a group, maybe from their neighborhood or from their colleagues or any workplace or anywhere, and they have to do some kind of activities. It is not connected with profession. It may be a social activity. It may be like taking, going to an orphanage or like cleaning the beach. Some kind of activities they have to perform, and they have to come out with photos and reports and proofs. So that is the kind of activities that was given by the author of that book. So first method was simple method, and this one is task oriented. So the new tasks and assignments were given, and how the leader propagates the command and gets the things done, and how the team members are obeying or following the leader. So such things are evaluated. Then critical study should explore the training patterns. What kind of training patterns are formulated by the group? Not only the merits, what are the positive outcomes of that activity? Also the shadow side or the demerits or undesirable outcomes, what are they? So that should be evaluated. So this is a task. The outcome is not 100% success. So we are going through the pros and cons of each task, right? And validation of assumptions. So there are numerous definitions and numerous assumptions. So we feel that a leader has to be so and so. Everyone has his own assumption. So validation of assumption comes out only out of the analysis. So after we complete a task and analyze the positive and negative outcomes, we are able to validate our assumptions. So again, leadership is action. It is not a position, right? So sitting on a chair, leadership chair or a simhasan is not leadership. It is action. So how you get the things done, how effectively you guide your group. So that is the thing. I think that next thing will be a last slide, and I can correlate with one analogy, right? We have few more slides. Yes, okay. So exploring the complexity of leadership development perspective. So it is not a one-dimensional development. It is not only intellectual development. As the speaker of today's morning session, Professor Narasimha Swami, he was telling, right? So leadership is about well-being of himself. So well-being covers the 3 dimensions: physical, mental, and spiritual. Similarly, it is a complex relationship, or it is the developmental process itself is complex. So data collection and analysis method. So what kind of data they have collected? So they have assigned the tasks to managers and this group. So around 153 managers were given the training and tasks. So they examined qualitatively different ways in which people experience or think. So each one's perspective will be different. So someone will be feeling why this is not required. So everyone doesn't aspire to become a leader, right? So leadership capabilities are developmental stages. Only some people want to go through. So the qualitative research approach was originally created to examine learning and pedagogical issues. So qualitative research. Then adult development research takes the transformative and developmental process. So as I told, as we grow from childhood to adulthood, we acquire certain skills, and from that how a leader is, from the personal development, how he contributes to the human development. So that thing is done. So multiple levels, and they transform dynamically throughout a lifetime. So it is not single page write-up to memorize and implement. So it is a multi-dimensional or dynamic process. So leadership definition changes from time to time, place to place, and ages to ages, right? So this thing has been given importance very recently. So leadership development is in its nascent stage, so very basic or infancy stage, right? So the study taken by the people in this, the authors of this journal, they added to the knowledge gap. So where the knowledge gap exists, they have identified and they have contributed their part, or they have done some research on the gap existing. So the goal or objective of this journal is to qualitatively assess different ways of understanding leadership development. Some places it occurs naturally, and some places people are given training to undergo leadership development. Okay, so they have done investigation to qualitatively estimate the different ways of understanding leadership development. So this is the one I was telling, sampling. So how do we do the study? MBA people or say clinical research, they collect samples, right? So what is the normal method of sampling the participants? Based on their age, gender, what else? Locality, region wise, then current positions, yeah, what are the qualification or position they are holding. So likewise, the data was collected at the workplace, face to face, from 21 people aged 29 to 60, and 8 women, 13 men. 8 people from the creamy layer or higher hierarchy, managerial roles, first line managers, middle managers, and executives, and 13 were in professional roles. So leaders, team leaders, software developers, HR executives, etc. So work experience also. So based on the work experience, since it is data collected from workplace, so they also taken this parameter, work experience, varying from 1 to 20 years, and even the level of education. So these two we missed out. So in workplace, so this as qualification, based on the qualification. So 1 PhD, 17 UG, and 2 military school graduates, and 1 with a high school degree. So all sorts of employees and of varying age groups and varying genders and various positions. So that was the sampling method adopted by the authors of this journal. So what kind of data was collected from them? What kind of survey was done? So interviews were semi-structured, focused on 3 basic questions. What is leadership development? So they were posed with these questions. So they were asked, what is leadership development? What promotes leadership development? So how a person develops into a leader, and what makes him to develop into a leader, or what molds him to become a leader? What hinders leadership development? So everyone may aspire to become a leader, but everyone is not getting the opportunity to do that. Or even if he gets the opportunity, there will be some obstacles, right? So pulling, someone will try to pull back him, or some criticism he is not taking correctly, or some people tries to humiliate him or suppress him. So what are the hindrances to his leadership development, right? The researchers aim to set their own assumptions aside. So there are numerous definitions, numerous assumptions. So the people who are doing the survey, they kept aside their own assumptions and they concentrated only on the responses and feedback from the participants. How many participants? 21 participants, good. So it was open to new perspectives that might be presented by the interviewees. Okay, so it is not based on assumption. So the interviewees or the participants, they can come out with their own perspectives. So no hard and fast rules, right? Analysis. As I told you, we have so many assumptions. How to validate those assumptions? Only out of analysis. So analysis, as ma'am was showing one picture that they write. So there was a person giving out his hand to help a lady. So actually she was thinking why he is not pulling me up. But actually a boulder was resting on his back. So he is not able to lift her up. And he's thinking why she is not coming up, because a snake has bitten her. So poison is coming out. She is feeling the pain. She cannot move up and he cannot lift her up. So each one cannot feel one another. So, so everybody's assumption or perspective or things we see may not the things which are true. The truth is different from what we see, right? So the analysis consisted of an interpretive and iterative process that started with familiarization. So the data has been collected, responses are collected, and how the analysis is done. So understanding the perspectives of each participant. So interpretive, understanding and putting up, writing out the assumption, what are the outcomes of those studies, and it is an iterative process. So leadership is a developmental process or evolutionary process. So it continued between what constitutes leadership. So then they have, how each one described the leadership development. So that was analyzed. So coming back to the levels of leadership. So this picture is not taken from the journal. It is taken from elsewhere, images. So it constitutes the first way or first level, own development, self-development. It may be your biological growth combined with your day-to-day activities or lifestyle or your opportunities given at your home, at your school, that develops you into a leader, right? Second is, first one covers the growth, second one covers the development through the way of life, and third one is the personal development. What is the qualification he acquires so that to be in a position, right? Organizational, cultural development. So how he behaves or how he contributes to the growth of his team, organization, collective, how he is the best executive or best manager among all the others, and how he contributes to the society. So when I am seeing these different levels of development, so I am reminded of, so this is a thank you slide, but it doesn't end here. So I actually accidentally chosen this slide, but after, sorry, what happened? Yes. Butterfly. So then I related the leadership development to the growth stages of or life cycle of a butterfly. So what is the first stage of a butterfly? Egg. From egg it grows into pupa. Pupa is like a worm, earthworm or some worm like thing. Then larva. So in lava or larva? Larva. Larva means it comes from the volcano. So larva stages, it forms a shell around it. Egg, larva or worm, then pupa. Correct, you are right. Correct, thank you. Egg, larva, pupa and butterfly. So first it starts from egg, it becomes a worm, then it develops the cocoon or shell around it, and it feeds, nurtures itself. And how can you relate these four stages with the stage of leadership development? Finally, it becomes a butterfly. So butterfly stage 4, 5, 6 stages can be related to the final after it gets its wings and it is flying. So that can be related to that. So first stage, so you are born, you become an adult, then you educate yourself, and then you do some earning. You earn money for establishing a position for you, for yourself, and then you try to contribute to the society. Okay. So I would like to quote one Sanskrit poem. It is simple. I'll translate it and tell. So again inspired by Dr. Narasimha, who had presented in the morning session. So Vidya Dadati Dhanam, which means what? Education gives you money. Sorry, I'm wrong actually. So Vidya Dadati, so education gives you modesty. Vidya Dadati Vinayam. Vinaya Vyapti Patratvam. So you obtain a position. So out of the modesty, you acquire some position in the society, and out of that position, you earn some wealth. Dhanadi Dharmam. Then after you get Dhanam, you have to do some Dharmam. Tataha Sukham. So that is the ultimate bliss or ultimate pleasure. So you study, as you study, you become modest. You should not be fixed. So you have to understand, you have to gain empathy, you should know, practice empathy, and then you gain some position, you earn, and you contribute to the welfare of others, and that is the real happiness. Thank you. Thank you all for patiently listening.
Participants can share the feedback about the session.
So it is a session after lunch. I hope it was not boring. Yeah.
The session was very interesting, and
The session was very interesting, and it was a very good analysis of the entire paper. We could understand many things, and the way you narrated things was wonderful. And as I told you yesterday, your vocabulary is very good. And being an English teacher, I was wondering, oh my God, your communication is very good.
Thank you.
And I'm happy that you communicate in many languages, and the way you recited the Sanskrit sloka was also good. I was actually taken aback. It was very good, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Thank you. So getting praise from an expert is actually very.
Thank you, ma'am. Now I request Dr.Suganthi, Professor Emeritus, Department of Tribulation, to facilitate Dr.S.Suganthi ma'am with memento.
Actually, remember. Thank you.